God promised to change Jacob. God promised to make him a great nation. God is keeping that, and he's doing right this there in worship. You know, a side note here that I think is important for us is that when we do make God our priority and we do make him our first place in our life, guess what? Those other things we're concerned about, he often takes care of. The primary thing that Jacob might have been worried about was God's blessing. Yet what he should have been worried about was worshiping the one true God, because God will take care of the others. The New Testament parallel, Jesus said, if we seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all these other things will be added unto us. God will take care of us, but we have to give him and make him our first priority. What Jacob did here then was he affirmed what he had already named the place earlier, Bethel. This wasn't that this was a different place. No, this was the same place. He had come back and he'd done another offering there, and he is reaffirming what he already did. Yes, this is the house of God, which what Bethel means. This is the place where I'm going to worship him. And God is simply confirming the obedience by giving the assurance that he's keeping his promises. Folks, we serve a God that always keeps his promises. There isn't any promise that he doesn't keep. Now, we blow it. We often will not keep a promise. Sometimes we willfully break promises. Sometimes we don't do it on purpose, but circumstance happened. We didn't know what was going to happen. We promised something and it didn't come to be. Never happens with God. God always keeps his promise. Every time. So we saw firstly that God reminds his people of their spiritual commitments, that we do as God's people will have to endure death. Thirdly, God confirms his people's obedience with the assurance of promises to come. But fourth, in spite of death, God continues to bless his people according to their promises. Now in verses 15 through 21, we see another death. In verse 15, we see Jacob called the name of the place Bethel. In verse 16, they journeyed from Bethel. If you follow along, please read 16. And when they were there but a little distance to go to Ephrath, Rachel labored in childbirth, and she had hard labor. Now it came to pass when she was in hard labor that the midwife said to her, do not fear, you will also have this son. And it was so, as her soul was departing, for she died, that she called his name Ben-Oni, but his father called his name Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a pillar on her grave, and the pillar, which is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. So now we see another death. Jacob's beloved wife, Rachel, in childbirth with her last son, we see the death. But in spite of that, God continues to bless people according to his promises. First of all, the family was completed with the birth of Benjamin. Now, Ben-Oni, the dying mother, she named him son of my sorrow. But Jacob changed his name to the son of my right hand. This was going to be his young son. Rachel died. She named her son of my sorrow, but Jacob said, no, this is the son of my right hand. This is the one who is my treasure. But God continued his promises. Now we have by the way, you keep in count, we now have the 12 tribes.